Hello and happy National Poetry Month. My name is Beverly Mayer and I'm 25 years old and I'm also a graduate from Ocala High School. I was born and raised in Crawfordville, Florida, so it's really an honor to be able to speak with you guys, even if it's just through a screen. Ms. Richardson asked me to talk with you a little bit about poetry, and I'm just so grateful that I have this opportunity because I think poetry and writing in general is so important, and I just want to share with you why I think that and a little bit about myself. So, growing up, I didn't really have the support system that you would want. I didn't have a mom or dad. I was raised by different relatives throughout my lifetime. So, I wasn't exactly emotionally stable throughout my childhood and teenage years. And if it weren't for teachers like Miss Richardson and some other amazing teachers at Ocala High School, honestly, I don't know where I'd be today because they gave me just a little bit of hope that things were going to get better. So outside of the teachers, the other thing that I had to kind of help me throughout my life was writing. And it was so important to me because nobody else really listened, but I always knew that if I sat down and put my pen to paper, it didn't matter who was listening to me because I was listening to me and I was using the only voice that I had because my voice had been silenced for so long. I used that voice to create a book. It didn't start out as a book. So it started out as a bunch of diary entries and random poems on a page in a journal. And somehow, some way, it turned into a poetry book. It is called Detaching Roots. And it was an incredible experience because this is stuff that happened to me. So it's not like I just made up a bunch of stuff that I thought people might want to read. I wrote about real life pain, real life experience, and I think that's what makes it so relatable to the readers that have read it so far. I do want to read you just one poem from my book. It's called Angels. And it says, I hope that these words make their way into the hands of the teachers that use their hands to shape me. I hope they know that most days they were the only kindness I saw. I hope they know they were the reason I looked forward to waking up and walking down the halls. I hope they know that to me, they weren't just a teacher. No, that was just their disguise. To me, they were the angels that awakened my still small voice inside. I think that poem is so important because my teachers were the ones that kind of gave me hope that there were better days ahead. And if it weren't for them, I really have no idea where I would be. So I just want to say thank you, Ms. Richardson. And yeah. So anyways, I lied. I have one more poem I want to share with you because I also think that this one's very encouraging. It's very short and it's called Choices. You can take your circumstances and let them be the stakes that pin you to the ground, or you can let them be the light that assures you that there's still hope to be found. So I'm going to leave it at that and just talk to you a little bit about writing because I think writing is so important, and young writers, you have so much potential at your age. And I know you might be thinking, how in the world does she know that I have potential? And it's because I was you before. I was just this lonely girl who sat in a classroom really unsure of the direction that her life was heading. Every single circumstance in my life pointed me in one direction, and I should have been a statistic, but I chose. Every single day I woke up, I chose not to be that statistic. And I chose to just channel my energy through writing. I sat down in my room and it was the only voice that I had because my voice had been stripped away from all the adults around me. And it was so much healing for me. And I feel like that's what poetry is, that's what writing is, it's healing. And I encourage you guys and girls to go heal. You do that by just sitting down with a pen, a piece of paper, a journal, a notebook, whatever it is that you have, and you just write about your day. Write about anything, because when I was writing these at 14, 16 years old, I had no idea that they might someday become a poetry book. I had no idea that people would put them in their hands and read them. And it was very scary when this book came to life, because that's my entire heart and soul inside of a spine. Like, I know that sounds so crazy, but it wasn't my intention at first. It really wasn't. It was just a way that I healed. And I just want to encourage you guys to write all the time, no matter what. It doesn't have to be about anything specific. You don't have to write poetry. Just write in your journal, write anything, and keep your mind active. Now, I did want to talk to you guys a little bit about publishing. There are so many different routes that you can take now. This day and age, you don't have to go with a traditional publisher, though a lot of people want to, because they want to see their books in stores. And I think it's important to note that even if you don't have a publisher, you can still have your book in Barnes & Noble. But the process of getting your book with a publisher is submitting to different publishing companies that publish books that are like yours. There are a lot of companies that publish poetry specifically, and there are a lot that don't. There are also a lot of companies that accept just open submissions, and then some of them have like a time period, a certain time of the year that they accept submissions. So it's really important to research the company that you're looking into, and with that research, just see when their submission period is. You can find a lot of this information on Submittable, because on there are tons and tons of magazines and poetry companies and novel companies, like any kind of publishing company, even if it's just newspaper or magazine. They have open calls. It's kind of like a website where models go to look for submissions to go and model. That's my comparison. They have all of that for writers, and the opportunities are there. I don't want you guys to think that it's hard, because it's not hard. It's just, it takes work. But yeah, so traditional companies, you submit, and they usually have a waiting period. It can be all the way up to a year. So there's also another route you can take, which is self-publishing. There's a lot of different amazing sites that you can do that on. Some are fairly inexpensive. Amazon is one of those companies that you can do self-publishing. That'll get your book on Amazon. And there's Lulu and Ingram Spark and tons of different ones. But basically, you just get your manuscript done, look up what their formatting guidelines are, and submit it through there, and within 72 hours, you're published. But you want to make sure that it's not just random stuff, that it is edited, and you have a good cover and things like that. So put your work into it, put your time into it, and make it as wonderful as you possibly can. All right, well, that's all I have for you. I hope that you learned a little bit about publishing books. I hope you learned a little bit about hope, and I hope that you find a little bit of positivity and inspiration in what I've said today. I know that it might seem strange coming from a stranger, but, it was strange coming from my teachers, and here I am today. It's so important to just stay positive no matter what your circumstances are, and no matter what people are telling you can and can't do, because you can do basically anything that you work towards. It's never given, but it is definitely earned. I hope you guys have a great National Poetry Month, and thank you for having me. Bye.